how do you keep your healthy habits going? How many of us have started out with determination and energy and motivation, and you make some changes, and then after a little while, they peter out. Life gets back in the way. We stop practicing that new habit, and our brain reverts to its old unhealthy habit. Give me a hands up if you've ever done that. And in fact, you won't be alone, because that's what most people do. And I don't want that to happen for you. For those of you who were in my Kickstart, you participated in the Kickstart over the last week, we set up what I called foundation habits. And we want to continue them going, because they really are the foundation of creating a healthy life, of going all the way to our goals. Yeah, there's some yeses in the house. Hello, Rosanna. Yes. So let's not do that. Let's keep supporting you to create the healthy life you want, the results you want. So, how do you keep it going? Well, I think there are 5 steps involved for continuing with a healthy habit. The first one is to make conscious decisions. Stay connected to why it matters that you succeed. We talk about finding your compelling reason. Why does it matter that you actually want to make this change in the first place? Where does the desire come from? What is the goal you ultimately want to have in mind? So, conscious decisions connected to why it matters for you. So often, when we're going to create change, we get caught up with our habitual triggers, our habitual situations, our habitual locations, our habitual people around us, right? And we have all of these triggers involved then that prompt us to respond automatically, unconsciously, just with the existing habit that we've trained in so hard. So the very first step is always awareness. Reconnect with why you want to make change, and then make sure that you are making changes consciously. Number 2, of course, to do that, you need to be mindful in every situation. You need to be present with what is happening right now. In coaching, we often call this being the observer. You can step back and look at what's happening in your brain, what's happening in your life, look at the kinds of choices that you're making, and be present with it without being at the effect of it. Just noticing what's going on. That frees up your brain to break the cycle of habitual reaction and to allow you to make those conscious decisions. So, conscious decisions, mindfulness. The third thing to do to keep it going, so to be mindful, number 3, is one small change at a time. One small step at a time. Now, this is one of the mistakes that people get wrong. I'll talk about it more in a minute when I get to the mistakes, but we try and change everything at once. Instead, one small change at a time, and just being okay with that being enough. We have to create a new normal. We do that by just making little adjustments so that our brain doesn't object so much. It doesn't fight. It's not so much willpower or discipline or focus required. It's easy. It's conscious decisions, mindful presence, making small changes instead of big changes, one at a time. Number 4, drawing on your support network. Have a support network around you, both internally and externally, to help you when you're caught up in automatic thinking, when you've unwittingly fallen into old habits, when you're doubting yourself, when you're forgetting to remember your why. It's important to have people around you who can help you. So, having a community of support, making sure we're not relying just on ourselves or just on one person to help us. So building that network. Number 5, overcoming your excuses. Your brain is going to give you all the reasons why you can't. So we have to practice a new skill here of noticing our objections, noticing our excuses, and talking back to them, reconnecting back with our why it matters, and then making those conscious decisions again, going, do you know what? I see that old habit. I don't do that anymore. This is what I do now. Now, for those of you who've been in the Kickstart last week, you'll notice that those were the 5 habits we practiced. I promised you that we were going to practice the 5 habits that were the foundation. So if you can keep revisiting those 5 habits, conscious decisions connected to your why, mindful presence, small changes, one thing at a time, drawing on your support network, and overcoming your excuses, then you get to keep it. Isn't that fun to know? It does take conscious practice. It does take speaking back to your brain. It does take awareness of what's going on. And it also takes the realization and the understanding that sometimes we won't be perfect. Sometimes we'll fall down. Sometimes we'll not feel like it. Okay, that's when we need our support network to help us move forward. This does lead me to the 3 biggest mistakes that people make when they're trying to lose weight. I see so many people, like maybe you could tell me you've tried all the diets, but you don't seem to ever stick to them. You know what to do, but you find yourself, I'm just not doing it. You should be taking better care of yourself. You should be prioritizing your health. But you find that you're not on the priority list, or you're certainly not at the top of it if you're on there at all. We let life get in the way. We think about our obligations, our commitments, our responsibilities to other people, and we let go of the obligations and commitments and responsibilities we make to ourselves. And I want to help you change that. If you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling despondent, if you're feeling over it. Now, hopefully you're not. Hopefully everyone who participated in my Kickstart isn't feeling that. You're feeling motivated, you're feeling connected, you're feeling like there's a shift, like you can do it, like it can be easy. What if? But if you aren't, if you're watching this, perhaps on my video blog or on YouTube, in which case, don't forget to subscribe, get all my videos. But if you're watching this and you're sitting there thinking, just don't ever seem to be able to stick to it. I don't seem to be able to do it. I'm smart. I know what to do. I've tried all the things. I'm just not doing it. Chances are you're making one of the following 3 mistakes. I guess for anyone who is watching on YouTube or on my video blog, if you don't know me, it's your first exposure to me. Hi, I'm Brian. I'm a weight loss coach and a life coach, and I've been helping people now for over 12 years. It's coming up to end of this month will be 12 years that I've been in the weight loss industry, helping people change their habits, transform their lives, build healthy new routines. But also I've lived it. 14 years ago yesterday, I had a realization when I was carrying an extra 50 kilos around, and I had been overweight almost my entire life, that I couldn't live like this anymore. I couldn't keep doing this to myself, letting myself down, feeling disappointed, beating myself up, feeling bad all the time. Everything was hard, everything was uncomfortable. I really had just worn away my self-esteem over so many years of trying to be good and then falling through and failing. And not understanding why, right? And I was always waiting for someone else to do it for me. But I realized, August 17th, 2006, that I had to be the person who was going to change it. I had to take that responsibility, that ownership back onto myself. I was the one who had created the unhealthy habits in the first place. So I had to be the person to change them. And that's where I started my journey. I lost my 50 kilos in just over a year. And as I said, for over 12 years now, I've been helping other people with their journeys as well. and I'd like to help you. So, mistake number one is thinking that it happens to us. Life happens to us. Some of you have said to me, the gremlin takes over, the devil on my shoulder. It's like I'm out of control. Right? Or we think it's the events or the circumstance of my life. You know, have you ever blamed the kids or your partner or your upbringing or the circumstances of your life for reasons why you can't make healthy choices, why you can't look after yourself, why you can't care for your own needs? And if you have, you fall into this idea that life happens to me. You know, in psychology terms, we call this becoming the victim. And there's nothing wrong with that, except that what it does is it takes away all of our power to change. All of the power goes over there into other people or into the universe or into the circumstances of my life. Instead of stepping into the power of going, actually, I create my experience of my reality. I'm the one who interprets the world in a certain way. I'm the one who shows up in the world in a certain way. And I have agency over me. I get to choose what I do. Don't fall into that mistake. Don't let yourself become powerless. Or if you notice yourself doing it, recognize it and remind yourself that actually, do you know what? I am powerful. All habits are created in my brain. I made them. Maybe I spent time and effort and energy creating them, perhaps unconsciously, but I spent a lot of time. Tell me how long have you been practicing the unhealthy habits? Maybe put that in the chat. Let me know. Once? A day? A week? Or has it been months? Has it been years? Has it been decades? It was for me, right? We actually spend a lot of time and energy, perhaps unconsciously, training in habits that don't help. So, to turn it around, we have to recognize that actually we are doing that. We are making choices. We are making decisions. So we are powerful. We can create change. So that's mistake one. No, number one, not taking ownership, not taking responsibility, and blaming the circumstance. So instead, I invite you to turn that around and go, do you know what? I am the instrument of my change. I am the one who can do this. I'm the one who shows up for me. Even if I haven't in the past now. Just be aware here, your brain will look for evidence in the past, but the past isn't going to tell you anything except the evidence of your past thinking. If we want to achieve something we've never achieved before, which is a lifetime at goal, we have to start thinking in a way we haven't thought before. We have to choose differently, and there won't be any evidence telling us that we can believe it. Isn't that fun to know? It's something new we have to create. Now, the good news is, with my coaching and with my group coaching program that I'm opening up today, you get that support, you get that help, you get that reminder all of the time that you are powerful, right? We've got someone else here telling you, reminding you that you are the creator. Step into your power, own it, and realize you are the person who can make the difference in your world. In fact, it's the one corner of the universe you have power over. You. So, step one. Don't make the mistake of thinking you're powerless. You are always powerful. You are, in fact, always in control. You are always making habits. Number two. Second biggest mistake that people make is having unrealistic expectations. You ever done that one? You went, I've joined the gym, I'm going to go every day for an hour. Or, I'm never going to drink, I'm just going to give up chocolate, I'm going to give up alcohol, I'm going to give up carbs, and I'm just going to never have them again. You have unrealistic expectations of how to live a healthy life, what it means. We've learnt so much information from diet mentality. We have to give up, the things we love, we have to cut out food we enjoy. We can't have. And it's just a lie. It's all a lie there. We also have unrealistic expectations then of our results. I'm just going to lose a kilo a week every week, And I'm just going to get there and I'm just going to stay there. Without actually having to deal with life any differently. Right? I'm just going to magically have the power because I decided to. No, that's not how it works. Realistic expectations is that you're going to suck at it when you're first trying. When you're training in a new skill, you're going to be bad at it. You have to fit these new habits, these new skills, these new decisions into your life. Right? It's not instead of your life. We have to still have stress and have time constraints and have financial concerns and have other people's demands on our time and attention and energy. We still have all of the stress and chaos of our life. So the question becomes is not, I'll just do this instead, right? We have this idea of it's just going to be perfect. I've made a decision. I'm just going to change. I magically have all of the power. I have all of the ability, even though I've never trained them in. I've never practiced. And I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to be disciplined and be focused. Never works, my friends. Never works. So often we have those unrealistic expectations of ourselves that we can just do it automatically just by deciding it. It's not how it works. We have to learn a new skill, right? I think there's actually 3 areas you really need support. You need support in mindset. You need to be in the belief that you can, that it's totally possible, working into our future life. And then what we do is we bring that future life into ourselves. So that's your mindset. There's also a skill set that needs to be learned, which is I'm going to get to in the third problem here. The third big problem is that most people do a band-aid fix. They don't actually solve the real issue. We're going to get back to that in a moment. But the unrealistic expectations, we don't expect ourselves to have doubt and have fear and have insecurity and have habits that we've practiced. We somehow think that just by deciding to do something, we're going to magically do it. No. It takes practice. It takes training. It takes sucking at it a lot. We forget that making change is uncomfortable. Our brain doesn't like discomfort. So we have to embrace it. We have to expect to be uncomfortable. A lot. Sometimes in coaching we call it the river of misery. So these are realistic expectations. So with that in mind, the practice then is being kind and compassionate and understanding towards yourself. Most people try and hate ourselves thin. We try and beat ourselves up. We try and loathe ourselves healthy. Never works. Even if you lose weight by pushing yourself hard and being really demanding and being really regimented and focused and disciplined. Meanwhile, if you're just being really self-critical about yourself, you won't keep it, right? You can get to goal, but you won't keep it because it's not fun getting there. We forget that you have to live at goal. And so the way you lose has to be the same way you live. You have to like who you become. You have to be that person on the journey. This journey is becoming the person we want to be. When we become that person, we naturally take the actions. We train in the new habits that produce the results of living at our healthy life. And that is part of that mistake, that unrealistic expectation. We think we're just going to do it for a little while, or we're just going to do it for short term. No. We have to make changes that are going to be sustainable for life. So we have to take the old habits and transform them into healthy new ones. Constant repetition, practice, recognizing that sometimes we're imperfect. We'll go back to the old habit, and having kindness and compassion when we do. Having that support network again to help us notice, pick ourselves up, remind ourselves of our power, and step back into it. So mistake number 1, not taking responsibility or ownership, just feeling like a victim. Number 2, like it's happening to you. Number 2, unrealistic expectations. Thinking I'm going to lose fast, or I'm just going to do it for a short time, or that there won't be challenges or obstacles or doubts or insecurities or fears. Thinking it'll just be perfect. No. By the way, sometimes the mistake we make in that one with unrealistic expectations is we think we can do it all of ourselves. We can do it alone. We forget that when we're doing it alone, that very often we're locked in to our own point of view, our own perspective of the world, and that feels very real to us. the beauty of having some extra coaching, having a coach, someone who's outside of that, your inner circle, to look at that, means that we get to see the perspective. And of course, if you're someone like me, someone who's been there, who's done the journey, who knows what it's like, I understand the pitfalls. I understand. I've been doing this for 12 years now. I see what works and what doesn't. I have the bigger picture. I can be your guide. I know the way. You need someone, whether it's me or it's another coach or it's a program or a personal trainer or someone, you need someone who isn't in your journey to help you see and show you when you're just trapped in a particular viewpoint, a particular perspective. Because when you're in that perspective, you can't really see anything else. You have to have someone who's outside of it. So, unrealistic expectations is number 2. Number 3 is not dealing with the actual problem. How many of you actually know how to lose weight? Tell me in the chat. Tell me what you do to lose weight or to get healthier. But most people know they have to eat healthier. Most people know what those choices are, right? We need more vegetables. We need healthy proportions. We need everything in a healthy balance. We need to eat healthier. We need to move more. We need to get support. Those are probably the 3 things that I think everybody really knows. Okay. Why isn't that enough? Why haven't you done it already? Really ask yourself, why haven't I achieved my goal yet? Right? It's not that you don't know what to do. It's not a lack of information in most cases. Now, sometimes you do need some clarity. Sometimes it is true there's a lot of misinformation or conflicting information, etc. around. And sometimes it's helpful to have some clarity about that. Okay, good. You can get that from a coach, nutrition coach, a sports physiologist, a nutritionist, a dietitian, your GP maybe. You can get some clarity on that. But it's not information that's the problem. And the problem is we're trying to eat better, or we're trying to exercise more as a way to solve the weight problem. But really, weight is just a symptom. Extra weight is simply the wisdom of our body speaking through our body, calling us to change. And so what most people do is they'll go on a diet, they'll join an exercise program, they'll join a gym, right? And they'll treat the weight, if you like. So if I eat less or eat healthier or eat cleaner, or I move more or exercise harder, I push myself, then I can get rid of the weight. Sure, you can do that. It's knowing it, but doing it. But it's also, so hopefully if you're not doing it, go back to earlier in the call, replay it, watch the 5 steps I talked about, conscious decisions, mindfulness, one thing at a time, drawing on your support network and overcoming your excuses. Have a think about overcoming the other things, about stepping into your power and having realistic expectations. These will all lead you to more useful, productive action. The trap, and here's the thing that I think is missing in the diet industry and the weight loss industry, and the fitness industry. It kind of drives me nuts. So that's why I coach people. The thing that's missing, of course, is none of those things really look at and understanding and help you solve the real problem, right? We never actually look at, well, why am I overeating in the first place? And how do I retrain that habit with a healthy new one? Now, most programs don't do that because it's too broad, it's too personal, if you like. This is going to be individual. But I think we're never taught the skills. We're never taught the skills of thought management, emotional management, so that we can learn the skill set of looking after ourselves instead of eating, instead of using food as a distraction or a medication or a stimulant. The taste of some food's awesome, right? We're never taught how to have the joy and the pleasure in food. Right? In a healthy balance, right? It's never going without. Then we're in diet mode. Then we're feeling restricted. Then we're feeling deprived. That's never a good feeling. Our brain's never going to want to stay with that. So the question is not, can I have it or should I have it? It's how do I have it in a healthy balance, right? How do I stop buffering against myself? How do I stop using food to numb myself or to protect myself, when actually what we're often doing is hurting ourselves with it? And some of us do this with exercise too. We just go harder and harder and harder. And meanwhile, we're using it to buffer against the real issue. So if you want to change that, right? You want to get off the diet roller coaster. You want to get off the weight loss roller coaster. You want to finally actually solve the real problem. Then I want to invite you to join me. You know, I had this analogy. It's a bit like going to the doctor and going, I'm kind of, punching myself in the side of the head. Doctor, it hurts when I go like this. My head's all bloody. It's not hurting. It's swollen. And the doctor goes, well, here's some medication. Here's some pain relief to make the swelling go down. Right? That's kind of what we do when we go on a diet. We're like, I'm just going to change my food. Or I'm just going to change my exercise. Instead of going, okay, well, let's figure out why you're doing that. Let's stop you actually hurting yourself that way. Because once we solve the why you're overeating in the first place, once we solve that in a healthy way, then you never have to worry about it again. You'll naturally make the choices, make the changes, move towards your healthy weight, and then stay there. Isn't that exciting? It's so fun. So how do I have everything I want in a healthy balance? How do I get to enjoy my life and my food and never feel like missing out? How do I have a social life? How do I care for myself instead of working against myself? Well, if you're interested in finding out, if you'd like to learn more about doing that, then I want to let you know that I am opening today doors to my next 6-month group coaching program. So I'm looking for 10 people who want to finally get this solved, who are willing to be a little bit uncomfortable, who are ready to make conscious decisions, who are to look at, hold on, how did I create the habits that I have? How are they serving me? And to learn the skill set of what to do instead, how to turn it around, how to train in a new habit in its place, so that I never hurt myself with food ever again, or hurt myself with exercise ever again. If you're interested in that, I encourage you to jump on my website or reach out to me on Messenger or via email, brian@livemorelife.com.au, and let's book a conversation. I'm having conversations with people all of this week and looking to start the program next week. So join the Live More Life method and get some help. Why should you do that? Why should you join the extra? Because you're going to have this network. So if you do happen to join, if that's for you, and if it's not for you, that's okay, no problem. If it is, if you want this extra support, because the support is what makes the difference, I think. You get my experience, my knowledge of the skill set, so I can teach you that. But also you're going to have support. You're going to have each participant in the 6-month program will get 12 one-on-one consults with me, as well as a weekly group call, access to 20-minute laser-focused coaching sessions, which are a great little addition to be able to just pop in for some motivation, some accountability, or if you're having a crisis, you're in the moment, you can touch base, get some support where you need it, so that I can help you not just know the skills, but spend 6 months together implementing the skills, practicing it, personalizing it, bringing it into your life. So personal, one-to-one sessions, group sessions. I do have a private Facebook group as well, just for my clients, as well as the option to jump in for laser coaching sessions. And for anyone who signs up and decides to join, pay in full for the 6 months, you'll also get access to my 6-week Stop Sabotaging Your Weight Loss program. 6 weeks where I really teach you how to end emotional eating. You get to decide, I guess. Are you going to go it alone? Are you going to feel like a victim? Are you going to feel like I can't do it, life just happens to me, I don't have the skills? Now you're going to keep trying to just solve things that aren't the real issue. Or are you going to change that? Are you going to step back into your power? Are you going to set realistic expectations for yourself? Are you realizing that it's going to be a real life? And it's going to be your current real life, not some other magical, mystical real life where you've suddenly got heaps of free time and no stress and no chaos. No, we're going to live our real life. Do you want the support to learn how to do it? Now, if you want that to be with me, get in touch. Let's have a talk and see if you're a good fit for this program. I'm looking for 10 people who are actually ready to change their life forever. If not, how are you going to build your support network? How are you going to step back into your power? How are you going to keep realistic expectations and do the 5 steps we talked about earlier? Conscious decisions, mindfulness, one habit at a time. Build your own network and overcome your excuses. I'm hoping you're ready to work with me. If you are, great, get in touch. Whether you do this with me or with your own network, the sooner you start to get to feel better, the sooner you start to train in these new habits, the sooner you start to achieve your goals and realize that this is possible. You don't have the evidence yet, right? Because your brain's only looking at your past. But we start to create it in our action now. And I wonder what it'll be like in 6 months' time as we get through spring and summer. What will that be like for you? I hope you have gotten value out of this call, right? And really, if you can, avoid those 3 biggest mistakes, continue those 5 skills, you really can change your life. I appreciate you for giving me some of your valuable time today. Reach out if you've got questions. Let's get in touch. Don't be frightened to ask. There are no silly questions. Otherwise, have an amazing day. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your attendance. Thanks for watching this call. Have an amazing day. And I look forward to seeing you in whatever the next step is.